My name is Jacqueline Mabry. I'm a Wash Park East resident and chair of the membership committee. I'm here today with Steve, who's representing the wall rebuilder. What services exactly does the wall rebuilder offer? So you had mentioned plaster and drywall. So what are some specifics?
So specifically, we're relegated to walls. A lot of people will say, do you do electrical? Do you do floors? Do you do, no, we don't do any of that stuff. We're strictly relegated to walls. And our big claim to fame is plaster. Dan is, I call him the plaster guru. So if I have any questions in regards to that, because I handle more the drywall end of it, and Dan handles more the plaster side of it. And if I ever have any questions, he always has the answer. Always has the answer. So at any rate, we offer plaster, we offer drywall, but there's a kind of a broad scope in each. In that we do remodeling, and if you want to stay true to your historic form, if you want plaster on the new walls, we will do that. If you want to restore the plaster that you had and fix cracks and or patch holes within that plaster and still use a plaster product, we do that as well. We handle a little bit of Venetians, but those are sort of few and far between, but we can do those. And then at the drywall end, we do minor framing and frame up of basements and that sort of thing, and insulation and hang tape and texture, all of that stuff. And that's what you kind of had done here with the remodel. And then we offer all kinds of different hand textures, all kinds of different spray textures, just anything that you're looking to do, we can handle it in terms of the aesthetics of your wall.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's some really beautiful things you can do with plaster, which is, I'm sure, why it's so famous. It can also be very tricky to work with.
Yes,
so.
It's like I said, it's an absolute art form.
It is.
You know, and the guys that we have that do it on a daily basis are really second to none. And that's no joke. They're really second to none, and I can say that without this being my job. I can say that they're really, really good. They're really knowledgeable. They know what they're doing.
Well, and one thing as a customer too that I experienced is, so the wall rebuilder focuses on walls. And I'm sure there's a question that comes up as far as, okay, who can I hire to do baseboards, trim, or who do I turn to for that sort of thing? And so with the experience that the wall rebuilder has, I felt like anybody who I was referred to, if they didn't know how to do something, then they referred me to the right professional who had the same standards that they did.
Yes.
So.
And we have a large referral list, and I must have given you referrals for it. And so, and you're right, everyone that Dan and Laura come in contact you with, they ensure that they know what they're doing, and we aren't going to give you the wrong people. So you're absolutely right. That's good. I'm glad that worked out.
Oh yeah, it really did. So especially just again, everybody is busy nowadays, and it cuts down on that time knowing that you're going to get the job done right the first time.
Good.
So yeah, it's very cool. How do you feel Wash Park is just unique as a neighborhood too? Are there any especially famous houses or projects that you've done kind of in the area?
So yeah, kind of in the area, we're real big on the historic and trying to avoid that whole scrape your house down or completely pop the top off of it and make it a different house. We really try to help this community stick to that historic value. And we've done places, and these are just a couple of examples, but we've done places like the Molly House or the Molly Brown House, and then we've done a lot of work around the Capitol and the Capitol building itself. And that if you've been in either one of those homes or those places, you know how serious and dedicated they are to the historic value of that. And so we really work hard to do that. So.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate that too. So when you're working on a job, you had mentioned that just especially plaster is an art form. What is the most important part of that job for you, other than safety?
Well, here's the interesting thing is the most important part is your happiness.
Good, okay.
So when we go into a job, the very first thing we do is cover everything up. We mask it. We make sure that it's ready to go from start to finish without making a mess outside of our masking limits.
Sure.
You know? And so that's always first and foremost, and then the details. Once that's in place,
Mhm.
then we can get after it and kind of dig in and really fix things the way they should be fixed, as opposed to a quick fix.
Sure.
You know, so we really we've got guys who are real incredible troubleshooters,
Mhm.
and they handle whatever. And you experienced one of them. Mario's fantastic.
Yes, he's so great.
If there's any question, he problem solves and gets it figured out, and that's
Mhm.
how all the guys on the with the company are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, answer to your question is just make sure that the client is happy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's great. And again, as a client too, I felt very comfortable if, nothing really came up, but if I needed to make any change or if I had a question about anything, I felt comfortable asking. I didn't feel like any questions were stupid questions,
No.
even though they may have been a little silly, which I think is important, especially when someone's working on your home.
Right.
So
Sure.
that's great.
Yeah, and you're right. There are no stupid questions. I mean, you have to ask. You don't
Sure.
know. That's the thing is you don't know,
Hmm.
and you rely on people who do.
Exactly.
You know, just like anything else,
Mhm.
name it. You've done it, and I haven't, and I have no idea.
Yes.
You know, so you're
Don't
right.
know what you don't know.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
What are some things that some homeowners, especially in the Wash Park neighborhood or just around Denver, there are a lot of 100-plus-year-old homes. What are some things that they should look out for when hiring a drywall professional or plaster professional?
So and this is, you can take this with a grain of salt. I've seen and heard absolute horror stories, and where guys will come in and only do partial work, or take half money down and then never even bother to show up.
Mhm.
Now I will say that we require a half day or half down deposit, but we always show. We always do what we say we're going to do. Watch out for guys who talk a big game. I'm kind of subtle in terms of how I deliver what we can do, just because I know we can do it. If you find that somebody's a little bit how do I say it, over the top, or just a bit too much, and you're probably good in avoiding that sort of thing. Other than that, I can't think of any other prime examples of what to avoid. Pricing is a big key. I know that people tend to look at the bottom dollar,
Mhm.
and I think that's quite often a mistake. It's kind of like the difference of, if I'll use a car reference, in buying a Mercedes and buying a Toyota Corolla. There's a big difference, and there's some cars in between that are okay, but you really want to get the best.
I completely agree. One, it goes back to, time is money. And
Yes.
when sometimes just hiring someone that is the cheapest option. So I'll say too, I felt like the Wall Rebuilder had very fair pricing, especially with the service that was offered. And I wasn't spending hours on the phone fighting with someone over something that went wrong and that never got fixed, or that you may have to pay someone else to get fixed.
Mhm.
And then especially when it comes to plaster, because it's my understanding, and I could be wrong, but even if the plaster is mixed wrong, or if it's applied and the walls may be a little bit damp or something, and that can cause it to crack, and then you're going to have long-term problems.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I just have to redo it.
And I will say that Dan and Laura buy nothing but quality products. The guys know how to do those mixes and mix them well, and so the longevity will be there. We guarantee everything for a year.
Mhm.
You know, however, I can say with almost 100% certainty that it'll last way longer than a year, but we
Mhm.
use nothing but quality stuff.
Great, that's excellent. I guess this isn't something we really talked about before, but I do know that, I personally made a major change after we had gotten started. And originally this wall was going to stay here, and then we decided to go ahead and, since we were getting the job done, remove it. Can you explain the process on how the Wall Rebuilder handles situations like that?
So with that, I know that you talked to Mario about
Mhm.
that, and this is another great thing about our guys, is that they'll call right away, or I'll end up talking to them during the course of a day or whatever, and he mentions to me, okay, well, we're gonna do this, and I said, oh boy, now how am I gonna handle that?
Yeah.
How are we gonna handle that? And he had it handled.
You did.
And it was as simple as letting me know, and then I got you for a change order on that, you know, and wasn't that big a deal. It was something that we were able to handle while he was here anyway.
Absolutely.
So that's how we handle those things.
Yeah.
If it's something that is going to be beyond that range, well, instead of doing this, we're going to completely change things, then it becomes a whole new job, and you have to kind of move it down the line until we are ready to do it again, because we're busy enough that we're scheduled pretty tightly, and so if it's a massive change, then you're going to have to wait on that or decide whether you want that change was that important or not.
Absolutely.
That's kind of how that works.
Yeah.
So, but we'll always make it work, however it has to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I'm appreciative of that. And then, I mean, even when it came to, so I'm not sure, I guess you can't really see it on the camera, but I have a lot of ducting on my ceiling. And originally, the way that the floor plans have been drawn, there was a closet, or I guess where there would have been a doorway, there would have been ducting in the way. And so Mario was great about pointing out small errors like that and helping me proactively fix them versus just kind of staying quiet and, well, this is what it says on paper, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, that wasn't even a big change. It was just moving the closet to the other side of the wall, so.
And he's a shining example of a guy who's a problem solver, and whatever
Yes.
comes at him, and most every guy in the company is that way. You know, whatever comes at him, okay, we have to handle it, and this is the way it is. I try to catch those before the guys come in at the estimator end of it, and Dan does too, but some of it we don't see, you know, until you actually have your hands on it and fixing those things. So,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
you got real lucky on that one.
I got very lucky on that one.
We do drywall, but his big claim to fame is plaster, and so he wants to put that forward to the community that we, you know, handle plaster and everybody's plaster's needs, especially in more of these communities like Wash Park, where we want to stay committed to the historic value of it.
I mean, plaster can be its own animal too. I've personally tried to repair some holes myself, and it's not that easy.
Yeah, no question about it. It's not easy. It's an art form for sure.
It is, especially with just older textures in homes and trying to stay true to the style, just like you had said.
Absolutely.
So. What's your favorite part about your job?
That's the great thing, is I get paid to do what I love.
There you go.
And so I can't think of any aspect of anything that I do, and I do a broad range of things for the company, but anything that I do that is disappointing within a day, you know, it's always interesting, it's always challenging, it's always fun for me. So,
absolutely.
there you go.
So, kind of one final closing question. I know the Wall Rebuilder is very involved in the community. They've been a huge supporter of the Washington Park East Neighborhood Association for years. I guess, what do you think either ties back to that, or I mean, what are some ways that you've seen them be active in the community too?
So I know that Laura is very, very. She's very savvy in keeping up on all of what goes on. Not just Wash Park, I would say, but a lot of the local neighborhoods. You know, and they don't live too far from here actually. So they're kind of they're part of the community as well. And so that's why I think there's some strong ties to that. And she's very, she and Dan both are very connected to the neighborhoods they work in and live in. And
Absolutely.
I think that's where that stems from.
Yes, well, and I think that really is a great representation in a way that shows in their work too, just because of the quality that's behind it. So, and she's always been such a pleasure to work with, and everyone really has. So, so thank you so much for meeting with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hope to see you soon.
Bye.
The Wall Rebuilder offers free estimates. Call them at 303-698-1057.